Hello! So today I am going to show you the easiest skirt you will ever make. So I went on a trip recently and my friend told me they need some more skirts. They mostly have dresses, they don't really have a whole lot of skirts, so I'm gonna make my friend a really nice skirt. And it's a Halloween season, so of course you know I grabbed the spooky fabric. It's this wonderfulness. It's got little cute little webs right there. It's so cute. I love it so much. So I'm going to make a skirt out of that. I keep getting asked by a few different people, where should they start learning how to sew? And honestly, if you wear that kind of clothing, a circle skirt is pretty much your best bet. It is so simple and so easy. You can even do it with like minimum math involved. Like this one, I just kind of estimated everything, but the waistband did end up being the correct size. I'm going to aim for a 360 skirt, but it might end up just a little bit less than that. For this, I am really not using a pattern. I do have a pattern for the pockets, and that's just about it. The rest of it is pretty much just go for it. So I'm going to show you how I made this skirt. Follow along if you would like, and let's have some fun with this.
The pattern for this skirt is pretty simple and easy to get. It's like a pizza slice with a bite taken out. To get the right size, you will need two measurements, your waist and the length you'd like. I'm aiming for a midi skirt with about a 30-inch waist and 30-inch in length. The size of my fabric only allows for a little bit less than quarters, but I'll show you a full quarter. Grab the waist measurement and add about 4 to 8 inches if you're using elastic. If not, skip that. But I am, so I'm adding 6 inches. So 36. Now I'm going to divide that by 4, which gives me 7 point whatever. I'm rounding up to 8, which will then be used when marking the waistband. Now I'm going to add that 8 inches to the length and I'll get 38 inches. That's the total length of the sides I'll measure when cutting. The pocket shape I use is this. I just used my phone to make sure it would be the right size and accounted for seam allowance. Use whatever you expect to carry in that pocket as a guide for how big you want this to be. And last, for the waistband, I got 1 inch thick elastic, so I will use that to multiply by 3, so 3 inches thick and at least 36 inches or longer. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them in the comments. Now that the shapes are established, I can draw that out on the fabric and just cut everything out. To draw this, just hold one end of the measuring tape or pin, or just hold it. Measure out the total length for the skirt. For me, that was the 38, and then swing the end around to create the rounded end of the slice. With all of that done, we can move on to the construction, starting with the side seams. I'm doing French seams again. Start with the right sides of the fabric facing out. You're going to run that first line of stitches. Trim the extra seam allowance. Flip it wrong side out, pin it, and then do another seam to create the pouch for the raw edges to sit in. We're going to do this for all of the long side seams of the skirt. We'll worry about the pockets later. Now onto the waistband. To start this, just pin the top of the skirt to one edge of the waistband with the wrong sides facing out, all the way around the waistband. Once you get to where the ends meet, mark where that happens, trim the longest tail, pin it together, and run a seam right where you marked at the meeting point. Once you have that seam done, then just go ahead and run a seam along top edge of the waistband. Now on the inside, fold over the top edge of the waistband and pin it to the inside of the skirt. We're gonna put that folded edge that we just made right above the stitch line. That way, once we go in and sew it, we can just get the seam allowance and not have a visible stitch on the outside. With it pinned, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and do a hand stitch. This is a simple whip stitch. I'm just catching a few threads from the skirt and then sewing it into the waistband, just enough to hold it down and keep it secure. I'm gonna do this stitch all along the inside of the waistband there. And I'm going to leave about 1 or 2 inches open so that I can then thread the elastic through that opening. And once I have both ends of the elastic just barely sticking out of the skirt, I'm going to sew them together with a quick few lines of stitches. Once that's done, I will situate the elastic back into the skirt and close that hole that I left open with just continuing that whip stitch. Now on to the bottom hem. I'm first going to do a rolled hem, pretty quick and easy. Start by rolling the raw edge over by about 1/2 inch, stitch it down, and do this all around the bottom edge of the skirt. With that line done, I will then roll over the hem a second time by another about 1/2 inch and do another line of stitches. With that line done, I'm going to flip it over and then just lay the lace on top of the very bottom edge of the skirt. I'm going to try and kind of hide that seam line that I just did and just be real careful and slow while I go and sew the lace around. Where the edges meet, I just kind of run a few lines over the edges just to keep them secure so they don't fray too bad. And finally, the pockets. I'm going to attempt a faux serge with a little bit more success with this heartbeat looking stitch. Run a few times along the edge of the pockets to make 2 little bags. I'll stop the seam just about 1 inch from the edge so I have enough to open this during the installation. Next, I'm going to measure about 3 inches from the waistband on the side seams or as close to side seams as I could get. Then using the put together pockets, I'll just mark the bottom edges and then I'll seam rip a little bit past both of those marks and both seams, again just to make sure I have enough room to do what I need to during installation. From the outside of the skirt, I'm going to align the pockets with the skirt, with the inside of the pocket facing out. This way we know the pretty fabric will show when the pocket is opened and not just the ugly white of the back. I'll pin all 4 of these edges of the pockets to the skirt and then run that faux serge along all of those edges just to be safe. With all of that done, we need to close a few holes, so I'm going to go ahead and flip those pockets inside. I'm going to pin everything closed and then run a quick seam along the outside of the pocket and just continue that seam onto where we opened up the skirt just to close it up and make sure everything is nice and secure. And with that, we are done!
Oh, it is so cute. I almost don't want to give it to my friend. This is the cutest darn thing. I love it so much. It's so cute. Oh, it's so comfy. I love circle skirts. I love the amount of volume you can get in circle skirts, and of course, pockets are always a bonus. I don't know, there's not a whole lot to really say about it. It's a super simple circle skirt. I wasn't quite able to get the full 360 length. We are just shy of that. If I had to guess, we're probably in the 300 degree range, but I think it's got just the right amount of volume. I think they're going to really enjoy this. Of course, I love making things kind of spooky and kind of girly and cute. I didn't really run into many problems when I was making this. I think the worst that happened was the lace. While it is the same, it kind of ended up with different weave densities. I don't know. I think this is so cute and I'm so happy. Thanks for sticking around, guys. I would love to see if anybody made a skirt along with me. If you did, let me know, send me a link. Feel free to subscribe. We're gonna do more spooky stuff coming up. I've got something super cool planned for my next video, so stick around for that. Let me know what you thought, and I'll see you on the next one.